All right, welcome to another installment of the Fragments of Silicon reviews. 4 reviews up this week. Yes, full gamut of reviews. No early access to be seen here.
Petty fan, your game music is coming through, which it's nice music, but
Sorry,
Yeah.
wrong button. Anyway,
So with that in mind, first up is Mango Mischief. Four desperate strangers, each with a mysterious past, team up to search for the one person capable of saving their lives. Mango Mischief's satire and fourth wall breaks complement strategic combat, interesting puzzles, customizable characters, class trees, and tons of skill and gear. Enjoy! Right, so longtime listeners of the program might recognize this game, not just because it looks like other games we've covered on the program. We have had this specific games developer on the program about 2 years ago.
something like that,
Yeah. Back when the game was about to be released. Now we're reviewing it in the here and now. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes the schedule gets adjusted based on things and stuff. Do keep in mind, not all the games we do an interview for get a review, and vice versa. But sometimes it happens. It's just the information we dredged up for this particular product was a good long while ago. But with that in mind, we seek to cover it here and now, and better late than never, I suppose. So the first thing to note, yes, it is an RPG Maker game, and also it's an RPG. It's an actual RPG. It's not like Yume Nikki or Omori. I think that one used RPG Maker's base.
I don't remember off the top of my head. There's a wiki for that.
Yeah. My point is, yes,
I believe
Maker.
so, yeah.
Yeah. My point is, RPG Maker can be very much used to make other genres and such. But no, this is bread and butter stuff here. This is classic JRPG as you would have seen it in the 90s.
Yeah, if you're using it for something other than that, you have to do a lot of custom work.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas most of the stuff for very classic JRPGs a la Dragon Quest is literally built in.
And indeed, that feeds into the, not just the marketing, but from what I remember from the interview, the ethos behind the making of the game. It's a fairly common tale that we get on the program. I was a fan of X games, genre, what have you, as a child, younger. And I want to relive that by making my own.
Nothing wrong with the origin story, just, it's not new,
Yeah. I'm like, that being said, it's definitely a factor in how I viewed this game. Because, it's selling it, it is selling itself on being a throwback. Not entirely. I'm literally this passage. Mango Mischief is a throwback to a simpler time. The 8 and 16-bit eras of video gaming, when JRPGs used and abused cliché storylines and as vehicles for showing off interesting battle mechanics, difficult dungeons and monsters, complex puzzles, character leveling systems, and customizability through skills, upgrades, and gear. So, yeah, it's looking directly to invoke that nostalgia. But the question may be, how would this actually stack against the releases of that era? Honestly, this would probably be something mid-tier, that probably would have gotten ignored.
Probably a AA title at best. Yeah.
Not I'm not sure that terminology really existed in the 16-bit era, but yeah, something in the mid card.
Yeah.
I hesitate to say, less a say Bahamut Lagoon or Treasure Hunter G, something that a true 16-bit treasure that never got localized.
Like
I'm talking
Terranigma, something like that. Yes, it got English, but never went to U.S. English.
No, not Terranigma is considered to be one of the best RPG-like things of the era. Like
fair.
I'm talking more. Not like Lufia 1, Breath of Fire 1.
Maybe one of the early East games.
Yeah.
Early East wasn't that great, so yeah. Like, they were good enough to get the series started, but, like, if I'm going to play an early East game, I'm going to grab East Origins, not pull up the original game,
Not something that was complete dog shit, like, Tecmo's Secret of the Stars. Like,
oh my god, I had the displeasure of playing that. I regret that.
I kind of want to put Paladin's Quest on that list, but Paladin's Quest was actually filled with interesting ideas. Execution was shit, but
yeah, that was definitely one of those. You had cool ideas. If they had probably had like modern hardware, they probably could have fulfilled those ideas.
Yeah, Beyond the Beyond or Shining Wisdom. Shining Wisdom's an action RPG, but that was still pretty dog shit. I think I'm like Albert's Odyssey. Like that's about where I put this. Albert's Odyssey, a game that was fairly mediocre in design, but kind of carried by a quirky translation.
Mm-hmm.
Albert's Odyssey was done by Working Designs, who would be very controversial in today's age.
Oh, yeah.
Because Working Designs did not give a fuck about changing things. And I don't mean just like localizations, but they added stuff like out of time pop culture references and sexual innuendos that really didn't exist in the original game. Stuff like that. That's they did have to do some cultural stuff like Cosmic Fantasy 2. You had the finger going up, which is a very mild gesture in Japan, not so here.
Yeah.
So that had to be changed to a shaking fist. That's more garden variety localization.
Yeah, that's when somebody from the localization team might be like, hey, yeah, no, we actually can't do that one here.
Yeah, putting in dropping the soap jokes and Bill Clinton references.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that would get you railroaded today.
Yeah.
But was actually seen as a wondrous thing. Once again, we are dealing with a different era. Because you got to understand, Working Designs cared about its translation. See also Ted Woodsley. His translations have come under fire in recent times because they changed shit up. They added flourishes where they didn't exist. This is how we got the famous Kefka line, "Son of a submariner."
Mm-hmm.
That was a thought out flourish.
Or like
Not
you
exactly
Spoony
sure
Bard. I know different person, but
that's exactly where I was going with this. You Spoony Bard was the result. That was just the result of non-native language speakers using literally a outdated translation guide from apparently from the 1950s to translate the text, because Spoony it wasn't an accurate word. It's an archaic word.
Right.
It's a word that nobody uses anymore, but does have does fit the actual definition. It's like, if I'm remembering correctly, so filled with emotion you do stupid things.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, something like
anyway,
that.
yeah. Point is, technically accurate, still very weird. It's kind of, it's why it's stuck around, and it's arguably one of the first video game memes.
Mm-hmm.
Because, that has been referenced. Not exactly sure when we started doing that, but it's from 1991. Like, it's a thing that predates All Your Base Are Belong to Us by a good 9 years.
Something like that.
Yeah. And it's still with us today. Like, you can
get T-shirts with "You Spoony Bard" on it.
Yeah. I mean, it's appeared in other media. You cannot have a Final Fantasy IV translation without it. That's how iconic it was. And it was all an accident.
Right.
Anyway, getting back to the game itself, it's a very... It's not a translation, obviously, because the...
native English speaker doing an English game.
Yes. It's in the style of a JRPG. Like, that being said, if it were a translation, it's a very modern translation. One might say postmodern. What does that mean? Quite a bit of snarkiness, a ton of fourth wall breaking.
For people who were watching the stream, I actually had someone make a jab at me not being a silent protagonist.
Exactly.
Stuff like that.
That is the translation of today. That's the stuff you would see today, one way or another. So it's very in its actual dialogue, it's very contemporaneous. Mm-hmm. Honestly, it's the honestly, it might take you out of the immersion.
Yeah.
Because it's it's not that they didn't point out stuff in the 16-bit era. Like, you do have it in, like, say, Super Mario RPG and, Final Fantasy 4 and 6, 2 and 3. They had the training rooms that explain everything in-game, in terms of, like, mechanics. So, it's not that they completely played it straight. It's just... you didn't get the, nobody pointed out Chrono was a silent protagonist.
Yeah. And also a lot of silent protagonists, they kind of mention they're talking, they just don't show you what they're saying.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, silent protagonist is actually a more recent idea of the silent protagonist.
Like, even Link, they've made mention that, oh, you're saying this, but he's not actually saying anything that we hear.
Yeah, usually it's implied that they're talking. It's just the actual word choice is
left for our interpretation.
Left to your imagination.
Yeah.
Where things have shifted to, a more comedic direction. Like, this is not the first time I've ever seen a silent protagonist is silent joke.
Yeah.
I will give them points for doing it in reverse. It's like, usually it's, the person is not saying anything, and the party members are commenting on that. Instead, we have a non-silent protagonist who was mistaken for a silent protagonist for a hot minute there. I will
questioned why they weren't a silent protagonist.
Yes. I will give credit where it is due. It's not a laugh out loud uproarious joke, but it's fresher than the alternative.
Right.
And like I said, dialogue's full on like that.
Yeah. Again, to its almost detriment.
Yes. And as far as characters go, I'm like, that's where the investiture's probably going to be. I don't know. Like, I wasn't really on board with the whole, with like all 4 characters having mysterious pasts. That seemed a bit overkilly to me.
Yeah. And like this guard right here is kind of making tongue-in-cheek jab. Do you see the castle on the map?
Yeah. Like I said, that's a much more common thing these days than it was in the 90s. Anyway, so getting to combat. Combat is fairly rote. Like, if I will say it's turn-based, like not even active time battle or anything like that. Semi-turn-based. That being said, it is being done Final Fantasy style. Hint, if you're doing it side view, your Final Fantasy, if you're front-facing, your Dragon Quest.
Right. In general, yeah.
Anyway, the real texture and nuance, as it is for a lot of RPGs, especially like beginning with the really hit its stride in the 16-bit era, was the use of a battle system. And which just, probably hit its golden age in the PlayStation 1 and 2 era. Like, that's just where we were seeing all sorts of weird and wonderful battle systems just to, stand out and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. This game, nowhere near that ambitious. Yeah. Like, you're not getting anything out of, from the Grandia series.
They don't even, have a speed thing where, say you do a certain attack, you can actually get a little higher up on the turn gauge, or is it just always set turn order?
No. It takes stats into account. Agility is the stat to pay attention there. Which is
the usual active time battle thing, I think.
Yeah.
So it basically is like the active time, but you have pause mode on. Always.
The more agility you have, the faster you are. The higher your turn order is going to be.
Yeah, but you get a second turn before the enemy does type stuff.
I think so.
All right. Digimon, the modern turn-based Digimon games has that where if your speed is high enough, you can go again before the enemy goes, depending on what type of attack you use.
That's the system that I think they started using in Final Fantasy X or something. It's possible, but it's pretty unlikely.
Anyway, like I said, the actual battle, it does the basics. It's really in the class system where things get marginally interesting, because you kind of does it Shining series style, not quite 1-to-1, but if you're not familiar with the Shining games, if you get to level 20, you are able to promote a character to a higher level, a higher class of job.
So, in Fire Emblem.
Yeah, but that would
only
work
minus
as
the
well.
permadeath.
At least kind of.
Yeah. You might want to go to the skills menu, because that's your magic.
Yeah.
There are 2 types. They're the magic that use the middle bar, the MP bar, and the tech points. Those are your physical attacks. Once again, it's nothing we haven't seen in other RPGs, but it executes it fine. You have to pound on the enemies or do other actions to get tech points.
Right.
Guarding, I thought, was a bit interesting because you can actually heal a bit and get tech points from that. It's a more viable strategy than in other RPGs.
Yeah, where it was just you were basically guarding to roll the RNG forward, if anything.
Right. Anyway, getting back to the class system, like there are like 4 classes in the game: Rascal, Light Adept, Dark Adept, and trying to remember what the 4th one was. Like the girl here is a Rascal, and at level 10 she'll be able to diverge into 2 skills, and the path you pick changes the way the character plays. The thing is, you can switch off on it. It's not a permanent switch. Like I said, it's mildly interesting. And I'm trying to think. Like I said, this is my overall problem with the game. Outside of,
Oh, right. Yeah, I forgot you just, can switch between characters. That was a bit abrupt.
I mean, no more abrupt than other JRPGs, or, JRPGs did, like in the 90s.
Yes, fair.
Yeah. Earthbound comes to mind immediately.
Oh, yeah, fair. I don't remember Earthbound much. I think I played it, once over a decade ago and didn't even beat it.
Fair enough. Anyway, so my biggest issue with this game is it's all very competent. It's all very solid. It is not bad. But on the other hand, it's not very interesting either.
Because we've had the sarcastic RPG for 20 years at this point.
Among other things, it's also, billing yourself as a throwback to 8 and 16-bit RPGs. We're not bereft of that.
Yeah, we've been getting those for over 10, 15 years now.
For fuck's sakes. We interviewed Z-Boy Games this year, and literally every one of their games is like that.
Yeah. There's probably a good 40% of our review catalog. If it's not a Metroidvania, it's probably a 16-bit throwback, be it an RPG or a platformer.
Or an action RPG.
Right.
Something that's very throwbacky.
Right. Which, it's not bad to want to relive that era, but know you're going into a crowded market and you need to stand out.
Yeah, and also, in case you're wondering where the mango thing comes into play, mangoes are involved in the side quests. I'm not sure if that was explained to us.
For the first character I went to, no mentions of mangoes were made.
You missed the side quest. I saw the first mango side quest is in the kitchen of the castle.
I didn't go It took me to the castle, but I switched to the new character after that.
No, where you're starting.
Oh, the ladies, the lord and ladies.
The academy, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like I said, the game is fine. It's just doesn't really do a whole lot to stand out on individual merits, which can always be, a bit of an issue.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, such critiques kind of wither in the face of its price. This is a big reason why we always calculate price into recommendations and that, because this game is going for 99 cents.
Yeah.
Even if it were not all that good, I could still give it.
Even just looking at the art for it, it looks damn good for less than $1.
Yeah, like and
people are saying it's about 20-ish hours, which 20-hour game for $1.
Yeah, like I said, I don't want, like, in case the developer hears this, actually watches the review.
Mm-hmm.
Do not misconstrue our critiques here as coming down on the game.
Yeah.
I know that that's been a thing that's happened in the past.
Yeah.
This year, I'm like, but we will be honest in our thoughts and feelings about a thing.
And we don't review in a vacuum. That's our big thing, Well,
it's one of the big things.
Yeah. Because we have played other games, and they will be compared to other games that we have played.
Right. Or what else is out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, once again, this game isn't just like competing against other RPG Maker games. It's on Steam. Mm-hmm. It's competing against like literal Final Fantasy titles.
Yeah. If I had the option to grab this or Chrono Trigger, Yeah, you're probably. I mean, the Chrono Trigger Steam port had its problems, but they've actually been fixed. Yeah. Or I know Ogre has the Final Fantasy collection. So what would make him want to drop $1 on this when he has the HD 2D versions of the Final Fantasy collection,
Well, the answer is in the price.
Right. But he has those. He doesn't have this.
Right, but my point is, if you were interested, it'd probably because it's going for $1.
Right, and I think wasn't it recent? Wasn't it also on sale during the Steam sale?
I don't know, but if it was, it would have been 50 cents, 45 cents, something like that.
Let me look at the community hub real quick. It does not say, or they didn't post about it if it was.
My point is, even though I didn't find, at the end of the day, I didn't find this game all that interesting. I still played it for at least 3 hours. Got past the first boss, which was a fair amount of investiture for something I do for a week.
Right. Yeah, believe me, we wish we had time to, play every game to completion, but oh, ye gods, we still have personal lives, homie.
Yeah, especially when my weeks have been filled with a lot of personal drama.
We'll be getting to that on Wednesday.
Yeah, more of that fucking happened this week.
I'd imagine.
So, and also for me, I cover 2 games a week. So, plus, it's I also make it a point to not let these games dominate my playtime. So, I do have other games that I play for not review purposes.
Right. To keep you sane.
Maybe they turn into a topic of discussion.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't.
Glances over at the topic list.
Anyway, ultimately, this this is a 6 out of 10 if we're doing the arbitrary 10-point scale of quality. It's good, not amazing.
You could definitely do worse with $1.
Yeah, like I said, especially you can do a lot worse for RPG Maker shit.
Oh yeah, even free.
Yep. I mean, on RPG Maker terms, once again, It's not super expressive like some of the games we mentioned at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also, it's got higher art and music. That's probably why it's a commercial product instead of being completely free.
Yeah.
Like,
And like,
so,
you can tell some love went into this, you know?
Yeah. I'm like, effort, blood, sweat, and tears were put into this. And yeah, for $1, it's worth an investiture, I would say. I'm like, not sure if not sure if 20 hours is going to be stuck with or not, but at the very least, you can give this game a try.
Yeah.
Because it's in the cup of coffee zone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even not even that. Like,
hell, good luck finding a cup of coffee for $1 nowadays. At least
like,
it's one that's any good.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I think that'll about do it for Mango Mischief here. Be sure to tune in after the break as Petty Fan reviews Electrovolt 2.